Michigan is 49-24 victors over Minnesota, and I'm feeling great. It was an awesome game. After the middle of the first quarter, that block punt, it was all Michigan from there. Maybe a little bit of time in the second quarter, a little bit of time in the third quarter where you got close, but I felt good the entire game for the most part. And frankly, what did you expect out of the offense that you didn't get tonight? Joe Milton didn't put up 300 or 400 yards, but everything looked great out of the offense. Defense we'll talk about here in a second, but let's get the show started. I am in Fair Lawn, Ohio, back in Ohio where I grew up. So my producer said, hey, I'm heading into the studio. We can record a show. I said, no, you know what? We're going raw, unedited Yoder, no graphic packages, none of that BS. Want to know from you guys to start the show. Type in the comments below your one-word reaction to this Michigan victory. You're going to have a special guest coming up for you here in just a second to give us his one-word reaction. But I want to know from you guys, go down in the comments. Give me one-word reaction to the Michigan victory. I'm just saying, I haven't even thought about this yet. I'm just going to so awesome. It was awesome. I never felt that this team was unconfident. Is that even a word? Unconfident. I felt they had tons of confidence. I felt that the game plan, especially on offense, was well thought out and well executed. Some slight interruptions here on defense, but awesome was my Saturday night in the state of Ohio, where Michigan, in a lot of ways, erased a lot of demons. I said to somebody before the game, Michigan is going to find out what they have with Jim Harbaugh, replacing 4 offensive linemen, replacing basically all the starters on the opening day starters in the wide receiving core from last year. Tariq Black, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins. Ronnie Bell became a starter, but certainly wasn't in game 1 last year. So it was a fun game to see. So you're going to have me for the next 6-7 minutes. I've also got a very special guest. Let me flip it around, have him join the show. It is one Tom Yoder. Tom, thanks for joining me. Let's jump in. Before we do, we're kind of sharing a mic here, so bear with us. Give me your one-word reaction to Michigan's 49-24 victory over the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Excited for this long.
One-word reaction, Tom.
Excited.
Excited. Okay, cool. He's new to this, last year, October 21st, October 20th, he was absolutely James on the show. You guys remember that here. I have Tom join me for the rest of the show. We're about 2.5 minutes left. All right. Before we jump in, we're going to talk about the offense, we're going to talk about the defense, we're going to talk about the special teams over the next 5 or 6 minutes. But if you guys were excited for the victory, go down below the video, hit that like button to indicate cheers to Michigan. Like the video if you loved the game tonight. Big T over here is just in straight vodka. Look at this guy. Cheers to that. I got some tequila. I'm feeling good, and I haven't felt better about Michigan football in quite a long time, given that I'm so confident in what this offense did tonight under Joe Milton. So let's jump into the offense. Josh Gattis, Jim Harbaugh put together a masterpiece tonight. Great Joe Milton. Tom, let's get yours. Joe Milton, what's your grade tonight for the Michigan first game starting quarterback?
I give Joe Milton an A/A-. I mean, he executed the game plan flawlessly. He was a great leader out there, and he just looked so confident and so in control the entire game. Nothing seemed to rattle him. There's a couple throws he would want back, but quite frankly, he just looked like a seasoned veteran out there, and I am, as I said, excited for this 2020 football season.
All right, so let's take a look at Joe Milton's stats. 15 of 22, 225. Actually surprising, right? I didn't think he had that many yards. All in, I didn't look at the stats after halftime. He had 100 yards at halftime or so. 15 of 22, 225 yards, 1 touchdown pass, if you recall, to Ben Mason, who had to kind of twist, turn, and react and just get the ball over the pylon. So that was good to see. How about this Michigan offense? I don't know what we're going to say about them 6 weeks from now, but right now, at one point in the fourth quarter, they were averaging 9 yards per play throughout the game. I haven't calculated the numbers here. As you can see, we're lubricated. The international lubricant tequila is what's going down here at the Yoder household. But Michigan offense looked phenomenal. Joe Milton's getting an A+ from me. I mean, what quarterback has started better in a Michigan football uniform than Joe Milton did tonight? And much longer history going back to the 60s here with Big T and Bob Timberlake. But any quarterback start better. You know what? Denard Robinson 2010 against UConn, maybe.
Denard Robinson, my 56th season of Michigan football, going back, as James said, to Bob Timberlake in 1964. And quite frankly, Rick Leach didn't start like this, nor did Elvis or any of the other greats or the ones that went on to become greats. It's exciting. We saw a little bit of Milton last year. He didn't look very confident. He overthrew the ball. and he just looked like he was a little bit out of sync. And we heard a lot of things about him in preseason, and so far, so good. It's one game. But quite frankly, here we are in Harbaugh's 6th season going into a game with almost an underdog against Minnesota. And let's face it, Minnesota last beat us in Minnesota 2 stadiums ago in 1977. Michigan was number 1 in the country. They went into Minnesota, lost 16-0. One of only 2 times Bo Schembechler was shut out in his 21 seasons.
30 years before YouTube was existed, so.
30 years before YouTube, but 1977 is the last time that Minnesota beat Michigan in Minnesota. It was in a place called Memorial Stadium.
Let's hold the history lesson for another time. He likes to do that. I'm like, nobody cares about the history lesson. That's fine. All good. We're talking about this team. So running backs next up. It was running back by committee tonight. So Hassan, Haskins 6 for 82, Charbonnet 4 for 70. So got 70 in his first carry, 70 for the game. 3 carries later, really no extra yards. Lost 6, then gained them back. 2 touchdowns for Hassan, 1 for Charbonnet. Chris Evans returning 5 carries for 19 yards, and then Blake Corum. Pretty exciting to see them first play out of the game. They go a swing pass for Corum that went for, I'm going to look it up, 24 yards. So pretty exciting. So what do you see about the time? Give me 30 seconds on the running backs.
Running backs looked solid tonight, and we didn't talk about Evans was in there and had a couple good runs. Haskins looked like the solid back. Charbonnet had the long run and ended up with only 70 yards.
Yeah.
And Joe Milton had 52 yards.
That was the most surprising thing about that is how calm and collective Milton seemed running the ball.
He just glides when he runs with the ball. So we've got several running backs. We didn't see Christian Turner tonight, so we have Corum, Charbonnet, Haskins, and Evans.
Did I just say Christian Turner? Who is this, Sam Webb?
So I'm very pleased with the potential for the running backs this year, James.
Let's kick it over to the wide receivers where Ronnie Bell led the way. 4 catches, 74 yards. 2 of those pretty long plays on one of the last drives of the game. No touchdowns to many of the wide receivers, although Ben Mason did have a receiving touchdown on that play. It was kind of funny. They went to Erick All. He dropped the pass or whatever happened there. They went back the same exact play except for Mason cut underneath and All became almost like a downfield blocker for him. He got in the end zone. But it wasn't an aerial assault tonight. 225 yards, but go back to Milton, 15 of 22, so that's what, 68% or something like that, doing quick math in my head, but 9 guys got balls. Ronnie with 4, Roman Wilson, true freshman, Erick All, who wasn't even supposed to be on the field, Nick Eubanks, did he play? Was he injured? We'll find out really the true story in this coming week. Blake Corum, Giles Jackson, 2 catches, AJ Henning a catch, Mike Sainristil, Chris Evans, Ben Mason, so 9 guys caught balls. I'm giving the wide receivers an A-. What do you got there?
I would say A-. I think Bell was absent for most of the game, and I made a comment we were watching in the fourth quarter, and suddenly he caught the next 2 passes. And I also thought Giles Jackson was a little bit out of sync tonight. And having said all that, Milton completes 68% of his passes to 9 wide receivers for over 200 yards. So it was a good start. We know we're going to get production out of Jackson and Bell. And we also, I think the other thing we realize now is we had these 4- and 5-star guys last year or the last 2 or 3 years that really never played as a team. Mm-hmm. And they're gone now. And we've got guys that are team players, and Harbaugh talked about it. It sounds like coach speak until you see it on the field. I think we saw it on the field tonight, so I'm excited.
Definitely, and overall, wide receivers, running backs, a lot of young guys out there. Also young guys, offensive line, 4 of the 5 players coming back. And it could have been 5 of 5. Jalen Mayfield, he didn't have to come back. Could have been 5 out of 5. 4 new starters. They played great. I'm giving the offensive line like an A-, maybe even A tonight. Ed Warner, a lot of credit. You got 4 guys playing in the NFL. 3 of them, I think, are starters from last year's team. 3 starters. So that was pretty interesting. I'm giving them. Nick Eubanks, I didn't see him out there at all. Maybe I could have missed it, but Erick All seemed to be the starting tight end. And then and that was the story for the offense. So 49 points. It really could have been like 65 or 70. They missed 3 field goals, which we'll talk about here in a second. But, Tom, grade for me the Michigan offense, just a single grade before we move on to the special teams and defense.
A.
Yeah, I'm going with an A. I'm going with an A.5. Not a plus, but an A.5. Whatever that means, you guys can figure that out. So you guys, give me a grade for the Michigan offense. Go down in the comments. Give a grade. Just say offense, give me a grade. We're both going with an A. Special teams, pretty interesting because you had a block punter early on. Bad. Shout out Jay Harbaugh in a negative way. 3 missed field goals, and Moody gets the start after he got benched last year for Quinn Nordine. So where the hell was Nordine? I don't know. I don't know where Nordine was, but 3 missed field goals. 2 of them were shank short ones. Another one was laces out, but you can't miss 3 field goals. But Mike Barrett they were kicking the ball short. Mike Barrett had a nice run back in the return game, but not much else going on in special teams. Certainly not in the return game. Special teams, a lot of work to do before next week against Michigan State, who, by the way, lost to Rutgers. All right, let's talk about the defense really quick. 5 sacks, the defensive line. Quiddy looked great. I thought the player of the game for me was Aiden Hutchinson. What do you think about the defensive line?
Aiden Hutchinson and Quiddy Pay. The ends look great. Minnesota ran the ball a lot better than I expected to be run against. So I think the interior of the defensive line still needs work. We didn't see a lot of Hinton and Mazi Smith. Didn't see a lot of Mazi Smith at all tonight. We didn't see a lot of Hinton until later in the game. So I guess some questions there. We've got Carlo Kemp does a serviceable job. He takes up some blockers, but he's not really a dominating player in the middle. So I have concerns in the middle and maybe a little better linebacker play.
What do you think about one of those tough ones? What about the German?
Well, I was actually surprised that he played. We heard a little bit about him. We heard all this hype last year. He's only played football a couple of years. I think he has got a lot of potential. He's very athletic, and he's quick, and he made a couple really nice plays tonight.
If you're not familiar with the German Julius Welchoff, who is, he must be in his mid-20s at this point because I feel like he was like a 22 when they recruited him. But nevertheless, 5 sacks to the defensive line. Your starters were Donovan Jeter and Carlo Kemp, and then Aiden Hutchinson, Quiddy Pay. Linebackers, the story of the game for me, the linebackers, is the play of Mike Barrett. What do you think about Barrett tonight?
Mike Barrett is phenomenal. I go back to that first time we saw him last year throwing the pass
To Daxton Hill.
To Dax Hill on the fake punt. Barrett had a couple really nice plays tonight. And, in fact, I think on one of them he recovered the fumble on
we forced the one fumble on the touchdown.
For the touchdown, where it bounced into Jeter's hands, and Jeter ran it in for the touchdown. And then Barrett recovered a fumble that Michigan had. Michigan had 2 fumbles tonight and recovered both of them, and Barrett was responsible for one of those. And we had no interception. So no turnovers was big tonight. Either one of those fumbles could have been a quick turnaround for the other side.
All right, so really quick before we go in the secondary, well, let's just talk about the secondary. Michigan was 4 of 8 on third downs. Minnesota only 6 of 14, and it didn't seem like Minnesota was doing a ton all night. But their running back did have quite a day, right? 140 yards rushing on how many carries? So he had 26 carries, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, which is not something we want to have continue. But as a overall total, Minnesota had 197 yards passing and 120 yards rushing. So I'm okay with 326 yards of offense for Minnesota compared to Michigan's 478 on the road after the longest layoff in Michigan football history, right? 14 months, or I guess it's 10 months today. So all in all, I think the defense was decent. Secondary is a lot of concerns. Bateman ended up with 100 yards, 10 catches, something like that. But they held him in check for the most yards. First half, the biggest play was that big-time pass that was way short that the Minnesota wide receiver turned around and caught. But other than that, they didn't do much on offense in the first half.
38-yard catch, I think. And other than that, most of his catches were less than 10 yards, which was pretty good for a guy that's that capable.
All right, so no turnovers on Michigan's offense. 2 fumbles, though. 1 turnover, the hit from Barrett, who recovered by Donovan Jeter. I don't know if you call that an interception or a fumble. I haven't actually looked into that. It's probably a fumble, actually, although it did go up in the air. I'm going to go with a B- for the defense. It could be a C+. I'm not really sure, but 24 points against Minnesota. But for what we expect, you had Rashad Bateman going off and this passing game and all that stuff. It was actually the running game that gave me more concerns. Secondary is the concern for me. I thought Gemon Green in his first start played okay. Vincent Smith was kind of weird. I thought Brad Hawkins played a pretty poor game from what I saw. And then Daxton Hill did get hurt. I don't know if I saw him return. Did you?
He did not return.
Did not return. Got hurt in the third quarter. So we'll see what happens at Dax Hill. But that is the story on the defense. Grade the defense, but more importantly, grade Dan Brown before we sign off here.
I would say B-. I was probably C+ range. I thought the defense got a little better in the second half. And they made some stops when we need them. There was one series where we had 3 sacks in a row, and it was 2nd and 20, 3rd and 30, and 4th and 38 or whatever it was. And so I thought they got better in the second half, and they did contain Minnesota's biggest threat, Bateman.
Yeah, no doubt. So 35 minutes of possession for Minnesota to 25 for Michigan. So the Michigan offense, I felt in a lot of ways, first half they weren't on the field that much, but every time they got the ball, I was super confident. So I'm happy. You guys are probably happy if you're watching this, if you're a Michigan fan. One word reaction. Make sure you don't forget about that. Like the video, okay? Like the video. If you're cheering, if you love the victory. And before we go, just make sure to subscribe to the channel. Don't let the blog boys give you this bullshit information. Yoder bringing you the truth. And frankly, Sam Webb's sloppy Sam is sleeping already because he's lazy. I'm up midnight doing work. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys in a couple days. I'm back in Dallas, the studio on Tuesday, putting more Michigan football content. Until then, go blue.
Go blue.